One-foot-flipper.
Hi, Paige here, the One Foot Flipper. Thought today we just jump right into a topic, and that topic is one of everybody's favorites is how can I get more sales on my items, or the even tougher one is how can I get somebody to buy more than one item? Because that is one of the toughest ones out there. Because I've even tried buy one get one free coupons store wide and had almost zero results in it. I mean, think of all the different ways you can try. Promoted listings, just having the best price, coupons, good luck, buy one, get one free offers, Google ads. You could beg your followers to buy your items if you have any followers, beg your relatives and friends if you don't have followers. Such as, by the way, speaking of begging, I do have customized ornaments on Dibdit and eBay. They're a little cheaper on Dibdit if you're buying more than one at a time. You could bribe somebody more popular to raid your live stream. Whatever it is, there's a lot of things you could try to do. But have you thought about this one? All right, let's jump in here in the middle with a few quick sales. Radiohead, best of, $8.80. This is from somebody at a garage sale who gave me all their CDs for free. Department 56, Spirit of Giving. It's three little figure, $7.76. Not a lot of big sales because I've got 20% off on all my cheap items. McDonald's cup from the 80s, $7.60. Pokemon League Alternative Play Handbook, $59.76. It's a very rare item. It's only got sent out to Pokemon stores who actually requested it, and they only got one. And a Lindenwood Lions visor. Being that I live about 2 miles from Lindenwood, it wouldn't surprise me if the address this is going to is actually closer than the post office. Is it? No, it's going to Milwaukee. Okay. Why don't you just ask your customers to buy more? Hey, John, will you want to buy some more stuff? Now, you're not going to call them on the phone, but what you want to do is, as those orders come in, look at that order and think, how could I get this customer to buy more? Now, as in a lot of things on eBay or online selling, it's going to be more effective if you have a large store or if you've got a specialty. But one of my most successful ways to get people who've already bought something to get that second item is to manually message them offering free shipping on that second item, or third, fourth, fifth, whatever it is. Now, I hate free shipping. None of my listings have free shipping, except for every once in a while there'll be a fluke. There might be an item that is sold as a commodity, and every single listing on eBay has free shipping. In that case, yeah, I'll stick free shipping on that one item. I think I've got 3 of those in my store right now. But otherwise, I never do free shipping. However, a lot of times, that second item doesn't really cost me anything to ship. You know, I sent my buddy Railroad Reseller, I was going to send him a hat today. You know, had a bunch of Railroad hats. I'm like, let's send Chris their Railroad hat. And I realized, you know, I can get a second hat in that box. You know what? It only upped at 3 ounces. It cost me, I think, 30 more cents to send Hilo a second hat. So yeah, of course I did it. Send him 2 hats instead. And that's the same thing you can do for your customers. Somebody buys a video game, a CD, or a hat. You message them. You say, hey there, I can ship 2 hats for the same price I can ship 1 hat. So if you want to go ahead and buy a second hat today, I'll happily refund shipping on that second hat. And there's a lot of stuff you can do this with. The DVDs, anything that doesn't weigh much and stacks nicely and that people tend to collect can have success with this. This simple message is often going to result in a second sale. And this is actually more successful than any sort of combined shipping or promotion you're going to set up where the extra items are free to ship or otherwise cost almost nothing extra, because your buyers don't read any of that. They're buying their items on their phone. They're not even reading the description. All right, let's do a few sales here. In one day, I sold the Southwestern Bell toll-free services hat for $14.99. There were no comps at this, so I just priced it at where the closest one similar to this had recently sold. It was a different Southwestern Bell hat. Overall, Southwestern Bell hats don't have a good sell-through rate, but I guess somebody wanted a toll-free services one, so one day, $14.99. Gonna hate to see this one go. My Snake Farm Live Genuine Snakes hat. You've probably seen me wearing this in multiple videos. And this sold for $29.99 $9.10 going international. Funny thing was, someone tossed this back at the Goodwill bins. I got this off the top of a bin on my way out of the place, which means someone had snagged it, put it in their cart, then decided that they didn't want it. And I got it, and I got quite a few good wares out of it, and then sold it for $29.10. Not too bad. Sold this. This is a timer that says Blockbuster on it. I think it's a 2-minute timer. I don't remember exactly what. Sold for $4.99, but this is a bins item. Had basically zero in it because it doesn't weigh anything, and it's a quick list, so I didn't care. Polaroid digital camera, $14.40, also a bins item. Easy list, easy ship. This is a cooler lid. You know those giant orange water coolers? This is the lid to one of those things. Sold for $11.40. Not the most money in the world, but buying this at the bins by itself is a higher profit margin than buying the entire cooler is. Quite a bit higher, actually. Sold this Mama Cass album in partial shrink wrap for $8. I always love the people who left the shrink wrap on their albums even after they opened them, because it keeps them from getting beat to crap. Wish more people would have done that. All right. This next one's going to be an example of how the video game collecting market is misguided in some ways, especially the investors. This is the cartridge to Die Hard Arcade. This is specifically the arcade cartridge that went to the Sega STV arcade motherboard. You know, this wasn't the home version. This was the version in the arcades. And the Sega STV hardware was based on the Sega CD hardware. Maybe it was the Sega Saturn hardware. I forget which one it was based on. But instead of using discs, it had them all on ROM cartridges, so there was no loading times or anything else, and it had more RAM than the system that it was based on. But the funny part here is that this cartridge for the arcade version is cheaper than buying the same game for the home system. Why would that be, Paige? Why would that be? The stranger part is that the arcade motherboard that you need to run this is also about the same price or cheaper, and also more reliable than the home system is. Now, yes, you have to have a monitor capable of showing an RGB signal, but honestly, anybody who's getting into obscure Sega consoles from the 90s and buying more expensive titles for them, they've probably already got a setup like that to begin with. And this is cheaper than the home version, despite the fact that they probably made 100 of the home versions for every one of these. If you're one of those people who are investing in video games, remember, even though arcade stuff has gone up massively in the past 10 to 20 years, it still has no place to go but up, because the much more common console versions are almost universally more expensive. When you get into arcade stuff from the arcade, pretty much everything is rarer than the rarest console stuff is. I mean, there's exceptions. You know, those Nintendo cartridges that cost $1,000, yes, those are rarer than a Miss Pac-Man motherboard. But for the most part, your run-of-the-mill things, like a Die Hard arcade cartridge, they probably made 3,000 of these at the most. Some things are much less, especially the newer it is, the less they made of it. So, just saying, if you're parking money in video games, arcade stuff can be the way to go. You don't have to buy the whole cabinets. A lot of people just collect the circuit boards that run the games. Those have gone up massively in price. A lot of games used to be 20 bucks 25 years ago, and now they'll be 200. And guess what? That's still cheap compared to where they're going to go eventually. All right, I'm going to pack this stuff up, and then we'll come back and we'll sell a few more later. My hats and video games already combined ship automatically and charge an extra $1 per item. However, I get almost no sales of multiples on those items whatsoever. Unless I message the customer, then those exact same customers who only bought one will go back and buy a second or third item after I manually offer them that free shipping deal that they basically could have already had on their own. Now, I like to keep it in the same category when I send offers, so I don't get any strange mismatched packages. I don't want someone buying a 5-pound book and then adding a 2-ounce video game to it, or even worse, a 27-inch long movie poster that I didn't charge shipping on, and suddenly I've got this extremely weird and extremely expensive to send out package, and that I can't even use media mail on anymore if there was a media item involved. No thanks. I try to stick to categories, and some of the favorite categories to do this with: books, hats, posters. Posters are a good one because posters, you know, you roll them up, they go in their 4x4 by whatever length tube, and you send them UPS. You're sending them UPS, right? Because USPS has huge surcharges for length now. And you are using the 4x4 long box. You're not using tubes anymore, right? You know why you're not using tubes? Because UPS and FedEx have huge surcharges for tubes, which you may or may not getting hit with. They are not consistent about charging it, but it's there, and the charges are massive. And USPS doesn't have a tube surcharge, but they have a huge length surcharge, so it's the same way. You got to use those square boxes now. If it's a really expensive poster, I will put it in a tube inside the square box. Whew, went off on a tangent there. You can do it on clothes. You might want to keep it to the same category, though. You know, T-shirts might just offer it on T-shirts, you know, to keep the weights from spiraling out of control. You know, you don't necessarily want to offer free shipping on all your clothing when somebody buys a $4.99 T-shirt and paid $5 to ship it, and then they get a 6-pound jacket to go with it. You don't want to do that, so keep it to similars. Any small trinkets, Christmas ornaments, those Warhammer miniatures I always sell, cards, stamps, coins, anything small. Now, when it comes to customers whose initial purchase is a large or heavy item, then that's a different story. Now, if they bought one of those big lots of Warhammer miniatures for me, sure, I will send them a message offering free shipping on any other miniatures or miniatures lots they buy that day. I'm not going to eat much on that, even if they buy more of the big lots. I don't care. Those items, the big lots of them, are not that physically large or heavy, and they are high profit, so I don't care. But I've got items like, I'm looking at my orders right now. I got somebody who bought 2 mole traps, and I've got somebody else who bought a cooler lid. I'm not sending manual offers to those customers, because adding things to those orders would just make them harder to ship, and there's no logical category or offer that I could even suggest. And I certainly don't want to send out open-ended free shipping on anything just because somebody spent $12 on some mole traps. That isn't going to work. Although sometimes you'll get somebody who buys that item that requires a very large package, but that's going to have a lot of empty space in it. Then you might want to go ahead and send out an offer. You might want to say, hey, you know, this full-size, this 5-foot stand-up Dilbert that you just bought, there's going to be a lot of empty space in that box, which means if you want to buy some more things, I could probably get them in there and refund all the shipping money on those other items, provided they're not too big. So why don't you go ahead and get some more stuff and get you a better deal overall. That indeed can work. You know, the dumbest thing is, I was doing this when I was rocking along, having the best sales of my life, and somehow I had fallen out of the habit of it. I'm finally back at it again in the last week, and I've been getting real results with it all week long. Why don't you try it out and see if it gets results for you too? All right, I packed up that last batch and we're back for more sales. Tyneco vacuum extender tube for cordless vacuum, $8. Might make a couple bucks on shipping on that because I do have a flat rate shipping on that, and what it actually cost me tends to vary a little bit. Return to Castle Wolfenstein for the PlayStation 2, $4.38. Not great. By the way, this has been on eBay for 6 months. I put it as the cheapest one on eBay 6 months ago. I lowered my price 3% every month. Yet it still took 6 months to sell. Yeah, video games. Continual downward slope on the common ones. Bag of Warhammer Red Necromancers or something like that, $50.20. Not bad at all. This here is an early gaming keyboard. It's a Creative Labs Fatality with a 1 in the name, $48.50. This is supposed to light up. It does not light up. However, each key doesn't light up separately. The whole thing is just supposed to be backlit, so it might be repairable very easily by anybody who cares to crack it open. I could not find that item. It had been lost since the day I listed it, because I listed it It got the temp put on it because temp gets put as your location until I file the items away. And it never changed from temp. Managed to find it today, though, after looking around a bit. Somehow sticking 3 inches out of a bin that I go by every day. And that had been listed for 2 months. And yet I didn't know where it was. A GAN sledding snowman ornament. This one says let it snow, but you can also get these from me with just about any name you want written on them, as long as it doesn't have too many letters. They're both in my store on Dibdit and my eBay store. If you're buying multiples, they're cheaper on Dibdit because of how my combined shipping works on Dibdit. I sold a lot of 4 ornaments. GAN's Cheerful Snowman. These are going to have 4 different names on them. Same thing, I've got these on eBay and on Dibdit. These are about $5 each. And they bought 4 of them. What else do I got? I went out of order. Mole traps. Sold 2, I'm only going to show 1. $12. It's about $6 each. I picked those up more than once at both the bins and at garage sales. They always sell pretty quick. Not a huge profit though, but they're pretty easy to pack. Since they're already in a box, I can pretty much just put a poly bag around them and ship them out. Those normally sell for more, but I have a 20% off sale on everything under $20 right now, and those were a rather new items, so they went at that 20% off when they would have sold eventually at 20% more than what I had them listed at. For $46.44, I sold a tray of, I believe, World War I era model airplanes for wargaming. There's 1, 2, 3, there's 6 of them in there all together. They're metal and high quality. These have been in my store for about 2 years. At least I think they've been in my store for 2 years. I've had them for almost 4 years. But the airplanes hid from me for a couple of years before they actually got listed. All right, I think that's all we've got for this round of sales. Maybe there'll be some more before the video is over. Maybe there won't. That's up to you and to eBay. So my sales are up month over month, 23%. That's still coming out of some of the worst performance I've ever done, though, so I still have a lot of work to go there. But like I've mentioned before, right now I consider myself a part-time reseller and a part-time YouTuber. I'm splitting the time evenly. In fact, I'm actually usually getting up in the morning and making sure I do the YouTube stuff first, which has really paid off in the growth of my channel in the last month, let me tell you. Thinking about maybe doing a live hat sale on Dibdit, so that might be a upcoming possibility. But I'm researching more on live selling, and what I would really like is some information for those who do it, how your live selling profit per hour compares to your fixed sale like eBay profit per hour. I'm not going to mention anybody's name in the video in any way. If anything, I'll just say that the person was a large, medium, or small presence in social media. Otherwise, you will never get mentioned. I've gotten responses from a few large channels, but I haven't gotten any information yet about anybody with a medium to small social media presence to see how their hourly profits compare from live versus static selling. So you could have Instagram me some of that stuff or email me or some information. I don't even need real dollar amounts. Just, hey, I do a lot better on live per hour than I do on normal, or I make a lot more on eBay per hour than I do on live. That alone would be great information. Hey, thanks for sticking to the end. Why don't you hit that subscribe button? A lot of people have been hitting it lately. Thank you so much for that. Oh, and I hope to see you again soon.
See, that's One Foot Flipper's nonsense video.
Remember that cheerleader movie from like 25 years ago, Bring It On, where Kirsten Dunst and Gabrielle Union and Eliza Dushku were all having a competition to see who was prettiest? Well, anyway, if you watch it again, notice something. It is football season in the fancy school the entire year, while it is basketball season in the inner city school for the entire year. Watch it again. You won't be able to unnotice it.